back with Bruce. Bruce, let's change the subject a little bit. Let's go to Impact Wrestling as we talk about that some now. MOW, Most Outstanding Wrestler this week, Tessa Blanchard. What do you think?
A lot of people, I haven't seen the match. She had an intergender match with Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard, the daughter of both Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard, and has a lot of her roots here. Again, another wrestler. There's a real argument. I know I've watched her during her career, and she always adds something better as she goes along. Has an interesting professional reputation as far as being behind the scenes, but has an excellent one in the ring, someone to watch. And intergender wrestling, controversial. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
It seems like gimmick wrestling, but it seems like they're trying to take it now with her and against Sami Callihan to Sami Callihan try to get where it wasn't as much gimmick wrestling, trying to make it more realistic. I know it had to be gimmick against Glenn Gilberti, the former Disco Inferno. It had to be gimmick type, but against Sami Callihan a little bit different. Plus, they had her lose, which makes it a little bit more realistic in some ways.
Well, yeah, there is that, and then what you don't want is for a match to have echoes of domestic violence, of issues like that, and of a man throwing a punch at a woman's face and that kind of thing.
So but the women are looking for empowerment now. They've got that part going. That's part of the angle too, I think. Women empowerment, female empowerment.
Women are tough and all that, but you don't see combat sports, men versus women, for good reasons.
Absolutely.
I'm not convinced on this, but TNA's in a position where they're doing things to get people, there's a lot of competition now, and so they've got to get people to look at them. And they did, Tessa and Callihan did get some of that. Callahan's interesting guy to watch, very much a brawler type from the old school, but also sometimes can take it too far in that sense.
Like a Brian Pillman guy in some ways, like a loose cannon almost.
Yeah, Brian Pillman Jr. wrestled, and
you saw him in Charlotte, didn't you?
Yes, on Sunday night. So my first opportunity to see him, and I knew his father and wrote about his career, was close with him. So it was interesting to see.
It's a tough week for Impact though, because they got good reviews off of the Slammiversary this past weekend. But now you turn around, you lose Johnny Impact, who's gone because his contract has expired, and you lose the LAX as well.
And he's a talented guy, and spent his time in WWE. And yeah, they're going to have to get on stronger financial form to be able to keep who they've got and to do what they've got. And you look at it, there's a lot of great wrestlers and there's a lot of competition, so you got to find a way to, it's not guaranteed you're going to draw a crowd. I mean, PWX had Jushin Liger in Charlotte, and it was and did all right, but it's a lot to do, and Impact has never really made that money. So guys coming in and coming out. Hennigan's a good, very good. Johnny Impact's a very good wrestler.
His wife is a champion up there now too.
Yeah. So, and I do want to talk about UNC Greensboro stalwart and alumni Darius Lockhart, who is moving up in the indie scene in professional wrestling, and was featured.
Was he at the program on Charlotte on Sunday?
Yeah,
I
thought he was a standout wrestler in the match, in a four-way match that included Brian Pillman. So just kind of adding more to what he does, and a corporate citizen too. So getting some better folks. Chastity Taylor, who is from this area, and our friend John Schuyler's T-shirt, who wrestles a lot here. Also, did well on those shows.
Now, who's promoting that down in Charlotte? Who's promoting that group?
PWXSA. It's a gentleman who, Brian, and I don't want to say his last name because I'll mispronounce it, but he's in car dealership, not too far away from here.
Sounds like the guy from Winston, the Tracy Myers guy from Frank Myers Auto Mall, promotes some stuff over there. Yeah,
and like that. But that was it was, and you look at Jushin Liger and just think, this is a guy that in North Carolina in his farewell tour, and Jushin Liger, I don't know what's the group of, how many people are in your group of the greatest wrestlers ever, but in that group is Jushin Liger. I mean, he is, between being influential and just the inspiring wrestlers to do things, and then changing the style and, pioneering a lot of that high-flying style. He was the next generation after Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask, and then changing up what he could do. He's in his 50s now, and you wouldn't tell it by looking at him. mean,
So he and PCO are a couple of guys past the mark at 50 that are still going strong.
And went from being the flyer to the technical wrestler, and it's just, that was a thrill to see him. And PCO is a whole other thing. Pierre Carl Ouellette, the pirate in WWE, but really making a name for himself in Ring of Honor and a fun guy to follow. I know you've seen him on Twitter, and just if you're a fan of wrestling the way it used to be and wrestling as far as the monsters from the Universal movies,
he's like Frankenstein in some ways. He's got the Frankenstein walk
he's
down.
Got a great act.
Yeah.
So,
he's got some guy named Detesto, kind of his manager too. They're gonna maybe start using some, get that guy involved.
Yeah, right. And like I said, right out of the Universal monster movies. So he's got a Dr. Frankenstein. I can see you, Andy, being Igor for him.
Get a few more injuries, I might be able to go like Igor in the walk. I saw something kind of interesting last night video on YouTube. They had a video of the first ever TNA pay-per-view. All the wrestlers are on that pay-per-view that night where they are today, and that was just a mass number of wrestlers that night. A ton of guys. You got the Flying Elvises, you got the Johnson brothers, you got Buff Bagwell, you got Scott Hall. Right? Who's that?
Wasn't there a guy named Sheetz, a big fat guy named Sheetz?
Yeah, there were all kinds of people on there. It was amazing.
Jeff Jarrett's doing all right. I mean, Jeff Jarrett was in the discussion for those, working the job that Eric Bischoff got, and so interesting to see that. So, TNA, wow. That was and Wednesday nights, you watch them on Wednesday. You have to spend your $10 every Wednesday night. Now you can get on the W Network for $9.99 for a month and get get an enormous amount of technology's changed. It's a better value.
Yeah, and the new competition's making it a lot different too. A lot of competition now with the AEW. How about their Wednesday night show? Is it going to be Wednesday Night Dynamite? Is that set? Is that pretty much locked in stone?
I don't know if that's the name, but Wednesday night is the night.
They trademarked that name, I believe.
Yeah, they might have. Yeah.
And Jim Ross is right behind that, I'm sure.
Ross is with it, and Ross is doing doing well and looking towards that change. And it's going to be. It's a fun business to follow, as you know. I mean, it has its craziness and its wildness, and now we got some competition on a national basis again. That's an interesting thing. I should say, and CWF Gibsonville, you can join me Saturday night in Gibsonville for
this Saturday.
The next Johnny Weaver, the next part of the Johnny Weaver tournament. So, I'm working on a long-term plan to get Andy Durham to come, but I
got a baseball game Saturday, but I'll be there eventually.
Yeah,
how long does the Johnny Weaver tournament last? How much longer?
I think they've got one more round after that, but I'm trying to think. But yeah, usually it features a lot, and this is featuring a lot of the better talent in the area right now. Eric Royal and John Schuyler, and I'm trying to think, let's see. Ethan Alexander Sharp. And
how about the guy from UNCG? Is he coming in?
I don't know if Darius is on this show or not. He's getting bookings in a lot of different places. So really an educated, smart young man.
Athlete
really
at UNCG? Was he an athlete over there?
I don't know if he was an athlete or not. I'm not sure. Well, he was training in wrestling then. That's why.
Oh, and then they dropped the wrestling program. Yeah, he lost the program.
Yeah, but I mean, he was training in pro. I think.
He was training pro while he was still in college.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And has a corporate job in Charlotte and is really successful. So, but he's one of those guys that stands out as making progress.
And his name again?
Darius Lockhart.
He might be the next Trevor Lee locally, right?
I think he's going to be the next Darius Lockhart.
Yeah,
like that.
At least for today, anyway.
And there's guys to look at here. Eric Royal and Ethan Sharp.
Eric Royal's been around for a long time in this area, hasn't he, Eric Royal?
Yeah, and Justice. Just there's a lot of there's good talent here, and there's starting to be
Eric Royal, Nelson Royal, Gary Royal. We've seen them all.
I think they're all from the same family, but I think one of them is more from Los Angeles.
Speaking of families, what about Bill Mercer? Any chance he'll be checking in? Is he still living? He's still going down in Durham? Is he still kicking?
He's still in Durham.
I know he used to come down to the CWF occasionally. Pop his in down there.
Yeah,
Bill Mercer.
They started every show with welcome to the new Sportatorium, and it's Bill Mercer doing a thing for it. And Mercer, I think we talked about this before, but he made a visit there, and he lives in Durham now. The world class, the Von Erichs Championship Wrestling, but he was the reporter who announced at the press conference that John F. Kennedy had passed away from his from the shooting.
And his granddaughter's a play-by-play announcer for Lexington Legends Baseball in the South Atlantic
I didn't
League.
know that.
Emma
Okay.
Tiedemann, yeah, she's doing quite
wow,
well.
okay.
Emma Tiedemann,
Yeah.
play-by-play for the Lexington, Kentucky Legends, South Atlantic Baseball, second year, getting high rave reviews. Emma Tiedemann doing a heck of a job.
Talked to him at a show a couple of years ago at CWF and in his 90s, and
Still very coherent.
he could go.
Yeah.
He could talk. I mean, yeah, he was.
Well, talking about the world class, real quick before we take our next break, what about MLW and the Von Erichs? A couple of Von Erichs are going in there. Got some names. They got the second and third generation guys at MLW doing pretty well over there.
You know, Lacey Von Erich, who was Kerry Von Erich's daughter, wrestled for a while and worked for WWE for a while. So that's been over 10 years ago. And then Kevin Von Erich, if you watch the documentary series Dark Side of the Ring, they did one on the Von Erichs, and they showed it was really nice to see Kevin Von Erich settled in Hawaii, you know, just living a really peaceful, good life. But those are his sons, and they've wrestled in All Japan Pro Wrestling. They've wrestled in different places. I don't see them as standout talent, but they're getting their first real exposure in MLW. Good bodies, they look like Von Erichs, and but it's also a matter of you know, the athletic standards now are so high. It's like, can they perform in the ring? It's not just their name. Can they perform in the ring so they stand out from other folks? But yeah, they've been wrestling for a while.
And they just hired Davey Boy Smith's daughter, too. Georgia Smith is going to be like one of their ring interviewers, I believe, for MLW. It's interesting.
Davey
Jr.'s there, too.
Davey Jr. has had a career for a good long while wrestling.
Yeah, he and Teddy Hart are like tag team. They have the Hart Foundation coming back.
Now more in the United States. And you see him, and like, you compare him with his father, he's taller though. It's like you know, you would pick him out as a wrestler. So
he's thick, very thick. See him on World of Sport Wrestling on Wednesdays on Stadium TV with English wrestling coming on there.
So very much. Last year I spent some time with the Hart family, including him in Waterloo, Iowa, and I'm going to Waterloo again this year. We'll see how all that goes, but for the Hall of Fame stuff. But that's going to be, the family's still deep into all that. Diana Smith was a charmer. She was something.
And before we get out of here with this current break, back to the English wrestling world of sport. SoCal Val's on there doing a heck of a job on commentary. We had talked about her before. I just want to
commentary.
She's on commentary and does a heck of a job. And I thought, who was this lady? She's doing a lot of talking. She's got her edge. She's in there with the other announcers doing a heck of a job, SoCal Val.
She really worked her career in a grassroots way. She would show up for conventions and for shows that she wasn't booked on, just to make those connections and to show that she was out there and keep her name out there. And she's getting some time on commentary. It's paying off. I mean, before she was more, you know, the ring announcer, the good-looking girl there for the look. So if she's adding some content that way, that's a smart thing to do.
Well, let's take a break. Come back. Today we're going to call you maybe on the sideline. We got Bruce Mitchell, the King of the Ring reporters, first, and Torch Plus, the Z-Man today, because we got the Z in the background for Sheetz with a Z. So Bruce has got that Z background. Back after this, GSO Hoppers and GreensboroSports.com and PWTorch.com. Stay tuned.